We're going to continue from yesterday's lesson, but this lesson we're going to focus on simply practicing more of the graphing and shading. There's one thing that I added in red over here. I would add that to your instructions. You're going to test your XY, usually 0, 0, in the original. So into the original equation, okay? The reason you want to do that is because let's say if you set up your line wrong, you can still test it correctly with the original function. So if you made a mistake in your line and you graphed your line and everything, the original function will still tell you if it's a solution or not. So it's kind of like a backup. So I would recommend always plugging into the original. So just add that to your instructions. And we'll do that in the next example, okay?
Mr. Tubble, Noah said she had to leave because she has like a migraine, so she can't really join.
That's fine. It's recorded. She could watch it later, okay? All right. So we're going to do the next problem. So everyone write this problem down. X plus 4y is less than 8. X plus 4y is less than 8. So step 1.
Wait, can you go back? I couldn't write the thing. I was getting my notebook.
All right, just take a picture. The only thing that changed is this red text right here, okay, Shane? So in step 3, just plug it into the original, okay? All right, I'm gonna go back. Okay, so step 1 is to solve it for y equals mx plus b, or you solve for y to make it into y equals mx b in order to graph it. That's the only reason we're doing this, so we could graph it. So I'm going to subtract x on both sides. Now I have 4y is less than, I'm going to put the x in front, because usually y equals mx plus b, the x is in front. Then I'm going to divide by 4. If I divide by 4, everything gets divided by 4. So y, this is a positive 4, so I don't have to flip the symbol this time. Negative 1/4 x minus 8 divided by 4 is 2.
Wait, it's 1/4 x, not just 4.
Definitely 1/4. You could do x over 4, but that's hard to graph, so 1/4 is better. But it's definitely not just 4, not a big number 4.
Okay.
All right, so we have our y-intercept and we have our slope. So the y-intercept tells me where I start. So I put my finger, or my pencil in the origin, and then it says -2. So I'm going to go down 2.
Wait, you always start from the origin?
When you use the origin to find the y-intercept, yeah. So you go to the y-intercept, which is -2. Then you're going to graph the slope from the y-intercept. So this red dot over here is -1/4. So that means if it's -1/4, that means I go down 1. Good. Go down 1, right 4. Or you could, if you want to go the opposite direction, up and left. I'm just going to go down and right though. So down 1, 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. I have 2 points. As soon as I have 2 points, I can make a line. So my line goes through 2 points. Now I have done graphing. I'm going to step 2. Step 2 is to graph the line. So I'm going to step 3. Step 3 is to now pick a point. I always suggest picking 0, 0. The only time you can't pick 0, 0 is if your line hits 0, 0. So we'd be forced to pick another point in that situation. And I'll do that for our next problem. We'll see what we do there. But we're going to plug in 0, 0, and we're going to plug it into the original. So 0, 0 is our test, and we're going to plug it into the original. So 0 plus 4 times 0 is less than -8. It becomes, all this on the left becomes 0, is less than -8. This is false, or not true, or not a solution. No, whatever you want to put. So because this is not a solution, 0, 0 should not be in the solution. So we're going to color away from it. So we're going to color away from it. If you don't want to be too sloppy, you could just do like these lines that I'm doing. But we're going to shade away from that direction, okay? After we shade that thing, we are done. I'll give a minute for everyone to get that down on paper. And I'm happy to take any questions while I'm waiting.
Wait, how do we know
How
which side
come
to
you
shade
don't
on?
just-
Craig, go first. I heard you first.
How do we know which side to shade on?
So 0, 0, it failed as a solution because 0 is not smaller than -8. So since that fails, I go away from it. If it passed, I would go towards it.
What do you mean away from it? Like,
There's two directions here, right, of the line. This way and this way, right?
mhm.
So since the 0, 0 is on this side of the line,
Oh,
that would be towards. And then if it's the other side of the line, would be away from it.
oh.
Can you give us one to try?
Yeah. I'll give you a normal one to try that. And then, but Yarnin, you have a question, or was that the same question?
Same question.
Okay. Anyone else have any other questions? Okay. If not, let me just write this on paper so it makes sense to me. Okay. 2x plus y, it is, oh, I'm sorry. I have to put this side note. I realized I forgot this. So take this into consideration. This is a less than or greater than, not a less than or greater than and equal to. Because it's not an equal to, we don't want to use a solid line. We want to use a dotted line instead. So when we have a greater than or equal to, or I'm sorry, if it's just greater than, we're not including the solid line. So we use a dotted line instead. So I'm going to put
Wait, I'm
this
so
note.
confused. Like
It's-
greater than,
here,
not what about equal to?
So look, greater than or less than, dotted. Greater than or less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to, solid line. In the same way, less than or greater than would be an open circle, while greater than or equal to or less than or equal to would be a closed circle. We could also call this a solid circle.
So wouldn't we just been a dotted line?
Yeah, it should be a dotted line. And I'm going to give you one that's a solid line as an example. And it didn't occur to me until I just made up this example. I was like, oh, wait, I have to explain this part.
So should we change like everything, including the 0, 0 into open circles?
No, all those are still closed circles because you're using those to graph, and it's not significant. The line itself should be dotted though.
So when should it be an open circle?
When we're doing that one-dimensional stuff, where we're doing like x is greater than 5, when it's a single.
We're not
digit.
like graphing it on like a physical graph when you're just doing like the line graph. Like
Yeah,
the-
this is when we're doing two variables where we have x and y. When it's just x, then you just talk about open circle, closed circle. But when x and y, we do dotted line, solid line. And that's my fault. I should have mentioned that earlier. So this is gonna be a solid line. So 2x plus y is less than or equal to 5. Okay? Scroll down a bit. So everyone's going to try this one out. Two x plus y
Wait, you're supposed to do 2x plus y is less than 5.
is less than 5. Yeah, so you're going to graph that one, okay? Now, you can't really type me a graph, so just try your best. Unpause it so everything shows up. No. I'm going to do it silently on the board while you guys do it yourselves. So you can look up if you need to check.
I feel like I did something wrong because I got. Oh, that's what I did wrong.
The only thing I'm like not like having trouble with is like where like to shade because I don't know like what's closer and what's not.
What's close or what's, what do you mean?
What's
Mr.
like
Toba-
which area to like shade?
So I think
Oh.
you messed up on the graphing.
Yeah, you messed up the graph.
You put the intercept as -5 instead of +5.
Ooh, you guys are good. I like that. Thank you. So let me fix that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And Kira, so what we do to decide the coloring, or the shading, I should say, is what we use is just the test. The test is the only thing that matters when it comes to the shading. The line itself just tells you, are you going to shade on the left side or the bottom side of the line or the right/top side of the line. So you definitely need to know how to test it out.
Mr. Toba, would it be fun if I just put arrow points at the end and don't make the line so big?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. You kind of want to make sure, though. I know you guys are using your own notebooks, but like on a test, you kind of want to cover up the edges at least. So I have a box here, so I will cover up the edges. Like you want to go past this part, you know? So
I got everything, but aren't you supposed to put the lines on top because it's correct?
because it's correct, you go towards 0, 0. And here is 0, 0. So you have to go towards it where the 0, 0 half is. Because this side has 0, 0, while this side does not have 0, 0.
Oh, I got everything except for that.
That's fine. I mean, we're practicing, so you don't have to sweat it. So guys, I shaded in. I'm happy to take any questions. We still
Can
got
you
a
explain
little.
it that way again, please?
Sure. The reason I chose, let's see what it is. Clean this up. The reason I chose this direction versus, let's say, this purple direction. My 0, 0's underneath the line, or you could say left of the line. I don't care how you explain it. But it's on the green side of the line here. Because when I plugged in 0, 0, I got a yes, as in yes, it is a solution. I need to shade towards the 0, 0 side. So that means all the part on the left side should be shaded because 0, 0 exists in there. In an alternate universe, if I got no, then I would shade the purple side or away from the 0, 0. You're starting from the line you made, whether dotted or solid, you're starting from the line you made and shading either towards or away. That's why I can't say the instructions is above or below or left or right. It has to be towards your test or away from your test. Anyone else has any questions? Are we good to move on to the next section?
Yeah.
Okay, seems
I
like no
feel
one.
like we shouldn't start another subject like on Zoom because we're just gonna need to start it again.
It's, I say next section, but it's the next part of this lesson. It's not a new lesson.
Oh, okay.
Do you mind like maybe going over one more of these?
The next one will still be going over these things. So it'll be practicing that too. So we'll go to the next part, okay?
Okay.
All right. Let's go to the next part, which is simply y is greater than or equal to 3x. So copy that down. Y is greater than or equal to 3x. Now, we should know and remember step 1 is to solve for y. But what's the benefit here? Y is already solved for. So then step 2 is to graph it. The strange thing though, I'm going to use it right for y. So I have no y-intercept. If I don't see,
0.
good, if I don't see any number here, it's a 0. If I see no number there, it's a 0. So y equals 0, that means my y-intercept is at y equals 0, which is here at the origin. My slope being a whole number 3 is the same thing as 3 over 1. So it's up 3 from the
Oh,
origin.
wait, but here we can't use 0, 0 because zeros.
Good. So let me at least finish this graphic. And it's going to be a solid line because it's y greater than or equal to. Oh, I want to move the graph. Okay. Now, I think it was Craig, right, who said it.
Yeah.
Something's up. I can't use 0, 0. Somebody other than Craig, explain why I'm not allowed to use 0, 0.
Because your origin 0, 0, so it can't pass through on the line.
Good. You can't pick a point that's on the line. Because if you pick a point that's on the line, you're going to get them equal to each other. And that doesn't tell us anything. That doesn't test anything. So that doesn't help us with shading at all. So we're going to have to pick another point. Now, here's
You can do 1, 1.
it's a wonderful suggestion. We could plug in 1, 1. Now, it's very important to point out, you could plug in 1, 1. I could have plugged in 8, 4. I could have plugged in -8 by -2. You could plug in any point, but it just can't be on the line.
So is the
Can it-
point that's not
can it be-
online just a test condition?
Can it be
Yes.
0, 1?
It could have been 0, 1. I'll use 1, 1 because it's the first suggestion. But it could be any point. Just make sure when you graph it, it's clear to you that look at here at 1, 1. It's definitely on the right side of your graph. Okay, so just make sure you could see that clearly for yourself. 0, 1 would also be on the, well, 0, 1, right, would be up here. I think, Craig, you said that. Be careful, though. That's on your left side in the graph. So I would suggest to pick something that's clean to you. Like you can see, like, yeah, this is definitely on the right side. So if it's true, I color towards my solution, which, hey, is on the right side. If it's false, I'm going to color away from my solution, which is the left side.
Why do you pick 0.11 though?
That was my first suggestion, but you could pick any points.
Okay.
Doesn't matter, as long as it's not on the line.
That's
So
true.
1,1's my test. Ethan, you can go ahead. What's up?
I was trying to say before, I don't understand why you still understand why you can't use the 0, 0.
The 0, 0 cannot be used because if you plug in 0, 0, I'm going to plug in 0, 0 in this like yellow font. If I 0 greater than or equal to 0, what's the problem here, Ethan?
Well, it is 0 is equal to 0, so.
Yeah, it's true, but it doesn't tell me anything about my coloring because my 0, 0 is on the line. So I can't color away or towards it. It's literally on it. So you can't, yeah, so you have to pick something that's not on it. Mhm.
Yeah.
So I have 1 is greater than or equal to 3. In this case, we have a no solution or a false solution. 1 is not greater than or equal to 3. So I'm going to color away from it. And I just want to prove to you that you could pick any point. So I'm going to pick a point that would have been on this purple side. Let's say -3, 0. And I'm just going to test that out. You don't have to test it out twice, by the way. I'm just showing you an example. I picked, let's say, in another
Wait,
universe.
Didn't 1 work? 1, 1.
Is 1 bigger or equal to 3?
Oh my god, wait. I thought that was less than. Yay. Oh,
Okay. So let's say if I pick purple, I put something like -3 over 0. Now, if I were to plug it into the y equals x, 0 is y, x is -3. So 0 is greater than or equal to 3 times -3, which would make 0 is greater than or equal to 9. This happens to be true, or yes, it is a solution. So I would color towards the purple, which, hey, is the same thing as coloring away from the green. So you literally could pick any point that's not on the line. Pick any point that is not on the line. Usually the easiest point to pick is 0, 0. Okay. I'll leave this up for a half a minute. Anyone that has any questions, please speak up so I can answer them.
Wait, can I just take a picture?
Give us another one.
Yeah, take a picture. I heard another. I'm happy to give another. Let's see. Let me make one up while you copy this down. Okay, I'm going to the next one. I'm gonna have to. I'll probably have to copy this. Here's your next one. Graph -2y is less than or equal to 8x. Remember, you have to solve for y first. Solve for y first. Last one we didn't have to because it was already solved. Solve for y first. Notice it's just a less than. Notice it's a -2. Notice a bunch of things going on. There's a lot of moving parts here. While you guys work, I'm going to silently do it up here.
I'm almost done.
Good. So just look up when I'm done.
Mr. Toval,
Mm-hmm.
I have to go. Can I please be dismissed?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is it okay if I pick 1-1?
Yeah, that's fine. You can pick anything. I purposely picked something weird just to prove it, but. Remember, I should plug it into the original, so I'll do that.
Is it fine if I didn't do the original?
Yeah, it's fine. It's just that I suggested in the original. Only reason is if you messed up the graphing for some reason, at least the original will get you the right shading, guaranteed. So it's more like a safety move versus a necessary move. Okay. So everyone should have the general thing. Of course, your test is going to be different than my test, and it's going to be different than the person's next to you test. So that's okay. All right, does anyone know how much time we have left in this class? I always get confused with the Friday.
We have 6 minutes.
6 minutes. Okay. So does anyone have questions on this before I move on?
Yeah, I just like I always forget like how come you you divide by like -2 at the start and not -8, not 8?
Because you're getting y by itself. Usually you get x by itself in most algebra, but in this case we're getting y by itself so we could graph it.
All right.
So you got to move the 2 away. Yeah.
And the reason you flip the signs because you divide by a negative, right?
Perfect. Yes.
All right.
Okay. Let's go to the next. All right. So we graphed these like 2-3 chapters ago. Some people forgot about these. Some people didn't do well in this part, so I got to talk about it. Let's say y is less than 1. Now, just a reminder, when you graph a constant, like let's say y equals 1, I'm just graphing this line as an example. Or y equals 1, I just said out loud, but I wrote 0. When you graph y equals 1, you have to graph at every point where y equals 1, like 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, -1, 1, -2, 1. You get the idea. So when you have y equals a number, you go to that y value and you're going to get a horizontal line. Now this is y is less than 1. So that means your y is going to be less than 1. Okay.
Do you have to plug anything in, like 1-1?
I'm so confused.
Same.
All right, let me refresh because the graphing is the important part here. And I remember, if I remember the test correctly, a lot of people miss this point. So if you have y equals 1, here's another way to think of it.
But it's y is less than 1.
Sure, I'll do that y less than 1. Y is less than 1. If I don't see an x here, what is that x actually? Times what?
0.
Times 0. So I have in this case a y-intercept. Let's see if I could graph this correctly. What colors I was using? I think red and blue. So my y-intercept is 1. So 1 up. But my slope is 0. So that means I don't go up anything, but I can't have 0 on the bottom. Why can't I have 0 on the bottom?
Because then it's what's it called?
Ooh,
It's either
anyone?
I forgot what
Starts
it's
with
called.
U.
Oh, I don't remember.
Undefined.
fine. There we go, undefined. So it has to be a whole number, so it's 0 over 1. So I don't go 0 up and I go 1 right. Just like any whole number, like 3 becomes 3 over 1, 0 becomes 0 over 1. So my slope is 0, comma 1. So I go right 1. I don't go up or down. And because of that, I'm going to make a line that is just flat in this case, or a 0 slope. With that in mind, in this case, 0, 0 is free. So I could, or not on the line. So I could just test 0, comma 0. Again, you could pick anything. So I'm going to plug this into the original equation. There's no x to plug in, so I only plug in y. 0 less than 1. The question is 0 less than 1? Yeah. And since 0, 0 is below this thing, you're going to color it down this way. Okay.
Let's get a picture of this.
Take a picture, man.
I'm still confused.
What's up, Rachel?
Cause like I don't understand why it would be yes, because how does the y become 0?
I'm plugging in 0, comma 0.
Oh, so then why?
So then y becomes 0 because
the
0,
reason
comma
why you can't go like up or down is because it's 1, and then
the reason it's up or down is because after I plug in 0, 0, because 0 is true to being less than 1, I go towards where 0 is, what happens to be right here.
no, I understand the shading. I just don't understand why you have like a ton of dots.
Where a ton of dots? The red and blue?
Before you drew like a ton of dots, like
Oh, I was trying to explain how to graph a horizontal line. I think this way is better explained. I think people understand that more, so I'm just going to keep with that.
yeah, that's why I was confused. I understand that.
Yeah, my fault. No, just remember y equals, or y is less than or equal to, is going to be a horizontal line. Anyone wants to remind what's a x equals or x less than or equal to going to be?
The other way, I just don't know what it's called.
Yeah, no problem. A vertical line, okay? All right, everyone. Thank you for coming in.